Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry about that. Found the mute button.
Cool. Just finishing drop off, so I'll be ready in just a moment. But the agenda's still the same, right, Dr. Silver? From Friday?
Yep.
Okay. How was your weekend, Christina?
It was good. Can't complain.
Can't complain.
Can't complain. It was good. Cold. How was yours?
It was cool. It was cool. Didn't do much. Spent a lot of money,
Yeah, yeah. It was one of those. You're like, how did I spend all this money? I didn't do that much. But how was yours, Dr. Silver?
It was great. We met my godson had a child in November. So we met him for the first time on Saturday. It was really
like 4 months old. That's cute. Good age.
so wonderful to meet him. And then yesterday we went to a Wolfpack game, my son and my husband and myself, and it was really, really, I had a great time.
Very nice.
Did they win?
I don't think they did.
You stopped paying attention?
We left about when there was about, I don't know, 6 minutes left of the game because we had to get my son to the baseball practice. So we had to leave a little early.
Nice.
But it was amazing. We got seats through the Manchester Community College Alumni Association. And they were great seats. I've never sat so close to the ice. It was that was great. So it was fun. And Lori is here. Good morning, Lori.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
There I am.
Christina, are you going to show the policy, the public comment policy that's up for a second reading?
Yep, I can click on the attachment in board docs. Yes, and I'll share that one.
Okay, so I don't have the Word document for that. So I can't edit it.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jair.
All right, give me one moment. We're going to get started in just a few moments.
Christina, I'm going to call you after this too for the FCE meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Still haven't had my coffee.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. It looks like we have our members here. And you talk about getting your coffee. I'm just dropped my second one off, and I'm getting mine now. So we're going to go ahead and get this thing off the dock. Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, all that good stuff. Hopefully everyone has had a great weekend and did everything they needed to do. I am going to turn this over to Dr. Silver to lead us through. I'm not sure how much we can get through today. I think we tried to do what we could do Friday to kind of slim it up a little bit, but we tried to put the easy stuff first. So let's not get let's ask the right questions, but let's not get too deep to where it drags us to where we're not getting anything done today. All right. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Silver to bring us through our agenda and put forth our first item. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning, everyone. And the first item on our agenda is the theory of action. And so I'm going to share my screen here. We are. Here is our theory of action, and we've done a lot of work on this item. There was a residual question. Do we need the statement? Trying to get that. There we go. There we go. Okay, the question was, do we need the statement that's highlighted? So to accomplish its core beliefs and commitments, the board sets forth a theory of action that supports and aligns resources to foster high quality teaching and learning, a welcoming culture and nurturing climate, engaging family and community partnerships, and skillful staff and effective operations. The diversity of race, family income, native language, religion, gender, sexual orientation, and neighborhood are assets that contribute to student learning. So that sentence that I just read is highlighted because there was a question about including it in the policy. So I'd like to know whether we should remove that from the policy or if we want to keep it.
I have no issue with it.
Thank you, Ms. Escribano.
You're good.
Any other thoughts? Okay, hearing no other, let's move forward. Let's keep it. And just to be clear, this is for our second reading, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So just so board members know, this will be sent out at the end of this meeting for board members to, there's still time to make small corrections before we get to our board meeting, but we have to read it, right? We have to go through it, and let's not wait until we get to our general meeting to then start adding and submitting changes. Let's move forward, Dr. Silver.
Thank you so much, sir. The theory of action, let's see, there was a question about managed instruction theory of action. So some additional text was added. So managed instruction theory of action that defines each school's core curriculum in alignment with the district's strategic plan and the 5 competencies of our portrait of the graduate. So there would be a common curriculum, and that common curriculum would be a move away from the autonomy that this policy used to speak to, where schools could choose their own curriculum and their own way of doing their work if student performance was exceeding a certain level. So this guarantees that all students in the district will have access to the same curriculum. So if there are no questions about that, I'll move on.
I hate to be the one. But can you just say that one more time? Students that are exceeding. Can you just break that down one more time, just so I understand? Yeah. So
in the past, when this policy was first written, the policy was written so that student performance would a certain level of student performance would determine how much autonomy a school had with choosing its curriculum and its different programs. And because of the amount of transition between schools and the need to have a common, the need to be able to support all of our teachers with a common curriculum, this is about a managed instruction theory of action, so that each school's core curriculum would align with the district strategic plan and the 5 competencies in our portrait of the graduate. So there will be a uniform curriculum that all students will be guaranteed to receive. Okay, all right, that's clear. I heard one part of your statement and it just sounded really crazy, but I hear the full, so thank you. Any other questions on this so we can move forward?
Okay, Dr. Silver,
Thank you so much. I believe that maybe those are the rest, those are all the edits that we had. And that's it for this policy for the second reading. Those are all the questions that have been there. So our next step would be to move this to our board for a second reading and adoption at our next Board of Education meeting.
okay, outstanding. Does anybody in disagreement with moving this policy forward?
No.
Okay. All right. All right, Dr. Silver, I think we're ready to move forward.
Okay, and the next item on our agenda is public comment.
As you can see from my screen, can you see both pages? Okay, so the only change at this time we made to public comment is to add actually two small changes. From dialogue is just going to be called public comment, and then 60 minutes and making it the same and with the first indication it says 60 minutes, as well as on the second page for the first public comment section. And then if additional public comment is needed, as you can see, it is still there below.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. Chair, I guess I'm going to just ask for clarification. So based on the comments that were made about elevating parent and student comment, which I agree with, is the parent and student comment going to be outside of the 60 minutes? Or that is the 60 minutes going to be parent and student comment and public comment combined is going to be in that 60-minute time period?
Yeah, I think what the spirit of what we were trying to do is still elevate the parent and student comment, like put the priority on that, and then have other business come later. Prioritize it later.
Okay, so I mean, so in essence, right? So item 4, 60 minutes is 60 minutes. That public comment is going to incorporate A and B. It's going to be done in that 60 minutes. Correct? That's what I'm kind of people to understand.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it'll be like when Christina or someone is going to somehow get the list, and then we're going to put parents first and students first, and then everyone else will just flow in afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions regarding the public comment policy?
I have none.
Yes,
Yeah.
go for it.
She
Go for
said
it.
she has.
Sorry, I don't have any questions. Sorry.
Oh. All right, so before we let this one off the hook, is this policy something that we all can stand behind? I just want to make sure, before we bring it out to the full board and, have it second guessed and questioned, is this something that we can stand behind? Ms. Escobar, is this something that you can stand behind and is fair, is equitable, and gives the
100%.
spirit? Okay. All right, Mr. Walker.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as written. 60 minutes, people can talk, people can comment on what they want to comment on for the first 60 minutes, and then any overflow goes to that later section at the end. Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Okay. All right. Dr. Silver, I think we're ready to move forward.
Okay, Okay, thank you so much. So that policy goes to our board for a second reading in our next board meeting, and I'm going to move us forward to the equity policy. And this is a new policy, and this would be for our first reading. And this policy is modeled after the Charlotte Mecklenburg policy, as well as the CABE equity policy. So we have integrated both into this policy. And this is a line by line read through. So we'll get started. This is equity and diversity, and it's policy 0523 under mission, goals, and objectives. Purpose. Every student deserves a respectful learning environment in which their cultural, racial, and ethnic diversity is valued and contributes to successful academic outcomes. The Hartford Public Schools is committed to identifying and correcting practices and policies that perpetuate the achievement gap and institutional racism in all forms in order to provide all of its students with the opportunity to succeed. Learning and work environments are enriched and improved by the contributions, perspectives, and very presence of diverse participants. The Hartford School District is committed to the success of every student in each of our schools and to our mission and vision statement. And that is the first paragraph. If everyone's comfortable with that, I will keep going.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to keep going. The Hartford Public Schools Board of Education adopts this policy to ensure fair and equitable educational opportunities for all students. The board commits to breaking the historic and continuing predictive links among student socioeconomic status, race, and ethnicity to educational opportunities and achievement. This policy sets forth equity areas of action that impact student achievement, outlines a measurement rubric, and creates a monitoring mechanism. The board directs staff to document, reduce, and ultimately eliminate the disparities and gaps that have persisted among subgroups of students in Hartford Public Schools so that every student achieves full potential. The board recognizes that there are many other factors that contribute to inequities, opportunity gaps, and achievement gap. There are no concerns. I'll keep going.
No concern.
Thank you. The Board of Education board believes that the responsibility for student success is broadly shared by the district staff, families, our community, and our students' own efforts. Achievement gaps between white students and students of color are unacceptable if we are to meet our mission and vision statements and our moral obligations to our students, their families, and our community as a whole. These gaps are contrary to our belief that all children can learn and succeed. Adult behaviors must not contribute to achievement gaps or create barriers to success. Adult behaviors must be concentrated on elimination of gaps, particularly those that are predicated on a student's race, ethnicity, home language, personal characteristics, or culture, and on assurance of educational equity between students. The board, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll keep going. The board, superintendent, and staff commit to conducting an equity and diversity impact assessment on all future policies that have a significant impact on student learning and resource allocation. This commitment also includes conducting assessments on policies that are periodically reviewed and updated through the policy development process that have a significant impact on student learning and resource allocation. Yes, that's resource allocation. Okay. If everyone's comfortable with that paragraph, I'll move forward.
Quick question. The adult behavior, I mean, I know what it is, but it's such a weird way of putting it. I don't know if we should be more specific, like our staff's behavior, or are we referring to the, by adult, are we referring to the community as well? I just want to make sure, because it's just such a weirdly worded phrase.
Thank you for
Yeah,
that.
good point.
So it is staff but I think it's also about visitors coming into our schools and partners working with our students as well. So by saying adult behavior, it's broader, but we could say staff and partners, or staff, families, and partners instead of adult.
I think if, this is my personal opinion, I think if we put staff and community partners, and family, or just, staff and community partners, just to be a little bit more specific, that's just my opinion. I don't know how my colleagues feel.
Tyrone, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that wording. Yeah, I have an additional question, but I'm fine with that targeted language there.
Okay, so let's you got what's going on, Dr. Silver?
Yep.
Are you clear? Okay. All right,
Yes, sir.
Tyrone, go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, Dr. Silva, the document looks like one that says that, you know, we're committed to recognizing and respecting everyone's diversity. But this paragraph here starts with the idea that achievement gaps are unacceptable, which I totally agree with. But it connects the only thing that seems to impact that is our view on people's, you know, ethnic and cultural backgrounds. Is there a reason? I guess, is there a reason we're connecting it like that?
Do you mean this sentence here? Where it says,
Well, yeah, because there are lots of things that drive the gap between white students and students of color. As I read through this paragraph, all it says is that, you know, that I'm taken from it to the degree that ethnic and racial and cultural disparity impacts that, then we're committed to its elimination, which I think is right. But I guess what I'm saying is there gonna be some other policy that says, and because of this, we're gonna make sure that we follow best practices in education, that we're somehow gonna make sure that kids get great resources. Is there some other policy that kind of fills that in, that deals with gaps? And I'm not saying it has to be here, because this document, I think, is seemingly one that is more of a DEIJ document. Is that the right way to interpret it?
I'm not sure what J stands for. I'm familiar with diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging. DEIJ.
The J is just justice.
Okay. Well, to your point, Mr. Walker, this may be too narrow. Achievement gaps between white students and students of color are unacceptable. What we could say is achievement gaps between student groups are unacceptable. Because there are gaps for Latino students. There are gaps for our English learners. There are gaps for our students with disabilities. There are gaps between our resident students and our suburban students. So this sentence seems to point out just the ethnicity or race, and maybe we want to broaden it to make sure that as group differences are identified, that we don't just limit what we're looking at to race and ethnicity, gender differences.
Then yeah, I would support that. I'm not going to try to give you wording there, but yes, to broaden that would make sense. What I was, I guess, questioning too is that we open with this idea that the last line there is that these gaps are contrary to our belief that children can learn and succeed. And I think that's absolutely a true statement. The response to that is to say that it says that we're going to concentrate on eliminating, I guess, All right, I'll leave it there. I'm okay with what you're saying in permits. Excuse me, just 1 second. I guess what I'm voicing, I'm sorry, let me put my camera back on. I'm sorry. It appears that what we're voicing is that we're going to eliminate, we're trying to eliminate these equity and diversity inequities to the degree that it contributes to achievement gaps. Okay. It doesn't explicitly say that, but that's, I guess, the implication here. Okay. All right. I guess I'm just saying as a comment that in other policies, I would like to have you make sure that we bring in the other policies, the other things that attack students' academic gaps. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay, and
They don't have to be in this document. I'm just making the point that right now it gives the perception that all we really care about is that these equity and diversity issues impact students' academic achievement, but we're not making any other comment.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Dr. Silver. Say what's on your mind.
Okay, so I highlighted the sentence here. And to your point, Mr. Walker, the board, superintendent, and staff commit to conducting an equity and diversity impact assessment on all future policies that have a significant impact on student learning and resource allocation. So this sentence here, I think, is getting at the need to make sure there's a lens of DEIJ on our future policies. So intention to review and revise policies as they come up in the future with an eye toward the impact on equity and diversity for our students.
Yes. I like what you're saying. I'm going to take my general comment and pull it back because I think it doesn't relate to what we're talking about here. This document is really about our diversity and our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I think you're moving in the right direction here. So let me just stop there. So
all right,
stick with this.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Okay, and what I realize is that this is actually the first sentence that says adult behaviors, not this sentence. So what I'd like to do is just take this staff and community partners and place it at the beginning of this sentence here. And then I think we can use the word adult here. If that's okay with you, Ms. Escribano.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if it works for everyone, I'm sorry.
Yep, no, we're all set. We're good. Ms. Escribano, the smart lady.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see. So if these two paragraphs are okay, I'm going to move on to the next sentence.
Yes, go for it.
Okay. The diversity of our student body, our community, and our staff is a strength of this district that should be fostered. Educational equity benefits all students and our entire community. The purpose of this policy is to establish a framework for the elimination of bias, particularly racism and cultural bias, as factors affecting student achievement and learning experiences, and to promote learning and work environments that welcome, respect, and value diversity. Further, the purpose is to establish particular actions that the district shall take to address disparities in educational opportunity and achievement. And if there are no concerns, I'm going to move on to definitions.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I think that last statement is powerful because racism and bias have no place here. And I think, you know, when we have this, as I'm explaining this policy at the board meeting, I think I'm going to put an exclamation point by that, because I think that's needs to be said, and it needs to be said publicly.
Awesome. Okay, so noted. I'll make sure that we reference that in the minutes. Definitions. For the purposes of this policy, the following terms shall have these meanings. A, diversity includes characteristics of persons, including but not limited to race, culture, color, creed, or religion, national origin, gender, mental and physical ability, age, marital status, family structure, citizenship status, sexual orientation, sexual expression or identity, economic status, veteran status, and any other protected class in conformance with federal, state, and local law. Our next term is district staff. Includes all employees, consultants, and contractors of the Hartford Public School. I think that we could add the word partners here.
Yeah, I was just gonna suggest we should add community partners.
Community partners, great. Excellent. Okay. C, educational equity means raising the achievement of all students while, 1, narrowing the gaps between the lowest and highest performing students, and 2, eliminating the racial or cultural predictability and disproportionality of which student groups occupy the highest and lowest achievement categories, including rates of graduation. Item D, institutional racism means the collective failure of a public or private organization to provide an appropriate and professional service to people because of their race, color, culture, or ethnic origin, which can be seen or detected in practices, processes, systems, attitudes, and behavior. It looks beyond individual acts of prejudice to the systemic biases that may be built into institutions. These systemic biases discriminate against and disadvantage people of color through unwitting prejudice, ignorance, thoughtlessness, or racial stereotyping. The last sentence here, the board further defines equity as providing the opportunities, support, environment, high expectations, and resources that every student needs to achieve educational success, feel valued, and contribute to a thriving community. I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
No,
All right.
no, I was saying we're gonna move right along.
okay. We're making great progress. General statement of the policy, the district welcomes, respects, and values the diversity of its students, parents, staff, and the broader community. The following are established as district values. All students deserve optimal treatment, opportunities, and education. All students and their families have dignity and worth. All students are equally, while differently, gifted. Academic and participation outcomes, not intentions, shall be the measure of whether we are successful. Inclusion of all students and families supports district goals to increase student engagement and academic performance. Embracing our diversity through inclusion creates an environment that leverages that diversity and creates schools where students, families, community members, and employees feel welcomed, valued, supported, and where students and staff can perform to their personal best.
Dr. Silver, can you slide back up? Let's look over those 6 one more time. Values, serve, fully gifted. I guess what I was looking for, Dr. Silva, is something that speaks to equity. I don't see anything based on need, or that students will, you know, I guess you could say it's a number one. But do you get what I'm saying?
Yes,
I
sir.
saw equity and it kind of was a flag to me. The equally part feels like everybody is being treated equal, or in this case, are equally gifted. But I mean, equity says I receive based on the need that I have.
Maybe something like our focus on equity.
Again, I don't have the immediate language. I think what I was feeling is you have students deserve, optimal treatment. Go ahead.
So we can write it down and then get it right.
Yeah, I think that's why I was, you're getting where I'm saying it. To me, something needs to be informed by student need. Yeah. Okay. That's a good placeholder.
Okay.
So we're not arm wrestling over the words, but I think that's right. And we can massage it.
Okay. That's great. I think that's a wonderful addition. Okay. Are there any other questions about now these 7 statements?
No questions.
Okay, I'm going to move on to C. The district is committed to advancing optimum participation in, contribution to, benefit from, and enjoyment of learning and work experiences by diverse students, parents, staff, and community. Item D, the district is committed to promoting and providing equitable distribution of resources, opportunities, facilities, and supports, even when this means differentiating resource allocations on the basis of student needs. Resource allocation shall support the definition of educational equity adopted in this policy while complying with state and federal funding mandates. Item E, the district shall employ staffing processes that support and engender racial, gender, and language diversity in its staff through recruitment, employment, training, and retention of employees. It is important that children of all races, cultures, and backgrounds are provided with familiar role models in schools. The recruitment of diverse teachers and staff provides all students with a better chance of seeing themselves as part of the education system. Diversity in education provides all children with the opportunity to learn from others with dissimilar backgrounds and recognizes the value of diversity in all learning environments. The district is committed to increasing the recruitment and retention of highly qualified, diverse staff. The district is committed to fostering a learning environment where diversity is encouraged and to recruiting and retaining a workforce that reflects the diversity of our students and community. The board is committed to hiring the best employees of all racial and ethnic backgrounds who will bring their unique talents and skills into the school system.
I'll just come back on. Mr. Chair, I have a question here, just a comment.
Okay.
Dr. Silva, since we're talking about staffing processes and outcomes, it feels like we need sexual orientation and gender expression somehow brought in. Right now, we're at racial, gender, and language diversity, which to me kind of covers, racial groups, male, female, and obviously folks of different heritage languages, right? Doesn't seem to touch on those who may feel like they're a member of the LGBTQ community. and reflect the fact that those folks are within the school environment as well. So is there a way to kind of throw in sexual orientation or gender expression somehow in here?
Unless we add gender expression and sexual orientation.
Yeah, I would
Gender
right
and sexuality.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah, right there at the front, just to say that, yeah,
and sexual orientation
right,
or identity.
right.
I don't know what's
Identity is
better.
fine too, if that's a term you want to use, yeah. But
Is that getting to what you're looking for?
yeah,
Okay.
I had suggested gender expression and sexual orientation. I think Ms. Escobar thought sexual identity would be good. But yeah, I think that language gets at that broad LGBTQ kind of space where we should at least state that that's one of our goals, is to have that be part of the diversity that we want to see. That's all. So yeah,
Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
that's good. That's
Gotcha.
good.
Thank you.
Okay. Were there other changes to this policy, this paragraph?
No, I think we're good with this.
Okay, and I think that, I can't remember if I read paragraph F. Maybe not. Okay, F. The district shall offer opportunities for all staff to improve its cultural competencies in serving a diverse student body and community. The district staff shall work together to increase their individual and collective capacity to effectively teach a culturally, racially, and ethnically diverse student population and serve culturally, racially, and ethnically diverse families and communities. The district shall offer opportunities for all staff to improve culturally responsive instructional practices, curriculum, and assessment competencies in serving our diverse student body and community to increase individual and collective capacity to effectively teach our diverse student population and serve diverse families. Practices, procedures, and programs that result in over or underrepresentation of any group of students compared to peers shall be subject to close review to assure that such results are due to meeting student legitimate educational, social, or emotional needs. Practices that do not meet this close review shall be eliminated. Teachers, administrators, and district staff shall collaborate to establish and implement culturally responsive instructional practices, curriculum, and assessment.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have a comment again. I would ask for the same kind of language around the that LGBTQ language. You can copy it from above. I don't think it can be the same wording. Yeah, I guess I have a question though about clarifying this over and under representation of any group of students compared to their peers, close review. What does that mean exactly? I'm kind of wondering. Yeah, I don't want to prejudge that. What's that trying to get at?
So I believe the statement is getting at if in your school you have 75% free reduced price meals for students, 75% of your students qualify, and you have a baseball team that is only students who are not socioeconomically challenged, that practice of having only those students make the team would be reviewed and corrected.
Okay. So, so I guess what I'm wondering is like if the AP classes are overwhelmingly male or white, or if the robotics team is overwhelmingly guys and not women, is the way it looks like there's going to be some intervening. Is it going to extend like that too? I mean, I'm just trying to wonder in my head, is there going to be some kind of unintended thing happening? But do you get what I'm asking? Or
I do. And so working to make sure that the environment is welcoming to a diverse all diversity in the student body as represented in the school. I hear you, and it says that it will be subject to close review to assure that such results are due to meeting student legitimate educational, social, or emotional needs. For example, if there's an LGBTQ plus club,
correct,
and it attracts
disproportionately,
yes,
right,
students who identify that would be meeting the needs of the LGBTQ plus students. But there would need to be some
well, look, to take that as an example. Okay, let's take that as an example. All right, so if you look at that, you still want to make sure that straight students were welcome to join. You want to make sure that allies are part of the group. That's all that wording isn't here, but that's what I was asking, so that there's some thoughtfulness about how we're going to do it. Because I almost feels like the way it looks, if some standards not met, then the group's going to be like broken up or somehow involuntarily modified. And the first thing you said, I think makes sense. Are they following practices to welcome all, to make all feel included and welcome, things like that. So I'll leave it there, because I don't think it's productive to try to tweak the wording here as much as, if you understand what I'm asking, it'd be an opportunity for you and your team to maybe think about that a little bit. Is this at second reading too, or is?
No, this is our first reading.
That's what I was thinking. So if it's first reading, then I think there's some space for your team to kind of think about it a little bit too, as opposed to me needing to feel like we got to fix it right now. Because I think it's the intent is right and everything. Not 1,000% sure the words could not use a little bit of tweaking to clarify what.
Could we add?
What it means to student. You get what I'm saying. So I'll stop.
I want to. I think the point you're raising is really important. I think that this practices that do not meet this close review shall be eliminated. I think that if we say revised or eliminated,
I think yeah. Right, revised, right, or somehow improved or something. That gives a little softer hand. So, because I think I would feel like in cases that folks would be open to redirection and instruction versus just straight elimination.
Thank you for that. Yes, education is always going to be the first goal of the school district, right? So revising, educating people, not just eliminating their program because it doesn't serve a particular group of students. So we can come back to this because it is a first reading, but I have the placeholder here, and
just make mention of it again. This is our first reading, and I appreciate you pointing that out, Tyrone. So let's not get too caught up on the details. I hate to say that because this is a policy and this is where we are supposed to to do
AG,
that.
I appreciate what you're saying because we do need to get through stuff. So no, I
Yeah,
appreciate
and it's a hard balance, and it's
18.
9:18, right? And a good 60-minute meeting, would be good. So let's see, it's 9:18. We want to kind of land this around 9:30. Dr. Silver, how do we responsibly land this, but have something to present to the board, which I think we do for our general board meeting. Maybe just let's get through this one.
Okay, absolutely. I think we can get through this policy. We're more than halfway done right now. So point G, so we've made the note, Mr. Walker, point G, the district shall promote the diversification of its vendor and supplier core in accordance with law and district policy. Point H, the district shall provide professional development to teaching staff specifically designed to strengthen employees' knowledge and skills for eliminating opportunity and achievement gaps between groups of students. Point I, the district shall seek partnerships with outside agencies, organizations, and persons who have demonstrated culturally specific expertise to assist the district in meeting its equitable education and business goals, including but not limited to government agencies, nonprofit organizations, businesses, and other community groups that support educational equity and cultural competencies. And if there are no hands, I don't see any hands, so I'm going to keep going. Responsibility. A board shall consider the values stated in this policy. The board shall consider the values stated in this policy in conducting its business and in exercising its responsibilities to the people of this community. The superintendent shall establish, in accordance with this policy, such plans and procedures as may be necessary and appropriate to accomplish its purpose and intent. Plans and procedures established shall include clear accountability for actions and oversight. The superintendent may disseminate regulations for the implementation of this policy as deemed necessary. Point D, the board and superintendent may establish specific goals to implement this policy as permitted by law and deemed necessary. Point E, the superintendent shall annually report to the board and the community regarding district performance goals on academic achievement and progress toward meeting these goals and closing the achievement gap. The report will also highlight discrepancies between the targets set and actual performance when applicable. This annual public report shall include an equity and diversity impact assessment. In order to access the gap in disparities among student subgroups, reports should disaggregate district and school level data by race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status where available. Seeing no hands, district staff shall, within the parameters of their various duties and responsibilities, comply with and execute such plans as are designed to address the values and directions included in this policy. District staff is further responsible to make such suggestions to the appropriate authority to improve the ability of the district to reduce the achievement and opportunity gaps that exist. Families are partners with the district in its effort to address achievement and opportunity gaps. Point H, students are partners in their academic achievement. School attendance and engagement are essential to reduce achievement and opportunity gaps that exist. Point I, the board, superintendent, and employees will work with students and families to identify barriers to achievement and opportunities for academic success. And what follows are references to our policies, as well as legal references to the Connecticut general statutes. And that concludes the first reading of this policy.
Outstanding. All right, let's put our virtual hands together. All right, so I know that this was slated for a 90-minute meeting, but what do we have next or on our list?
We have student attire and alternative education program.
All right, let's do student attire because I think there was some community feedback on that. So
Yes.
let's do that. And what was the next one?
Alternative education programs.
Okay, and was there another one after that?
No, sir.
All right, yeah, let's do student attire and let's land on that one because I think from my understanding, we did have some input from parents. So, and my apologies for rushing. We're in the middle of session here at my job, and I gotta get moving.
Okay, and I am not finding the redlined policy, and my link expired in the slide deck. So I'm wondering,
I can share the attachment on board docs if you'd like. It's not red line though, but is this brand new? I can't remember.
no, it's a policy that we had in place, and I'm not seeing the red lines. Maybe Chairman Pastor AJ, maybe we can do alternative education programs because that is a new policy and it is a mandated policy. And at our next meeting, I will make sure that we have the correct redlined policy for student attire.
Okay, is this the first reading for alternative?
Yes, sir.
All right, how long do you think this one would take us to go through it?
It is a very standard policy. And I think that we could probably spend 5 minutes on a general read of it if your goal is to end at 9:30. It's a very standard policy.
Yeah, let's go with it. But so for student uniforms, that's our second reading or first reading?
That's also a first reading.
Okay. All right, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward with the alternative learning, but I would like to at least send out the revised copy or the edited copy that you have to
Of
the
the-
policy committee for review. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
okay, go for it.
All right, alternative education programs. This is under instruction policy 6172. The purpose of this policy is to recognize the need for alternative education programs for some district students. The Board of Education board is dedicated to providing educational options for all students within available financial constraints. It is recognized there will be students in the district whose needs and interests are best served by participation in an alternative education program. Alternative education means a school or program maintained and operated by the board that is offered to students in a non-traditional educational setting and addresses the social, emotional, behavioral, and academic needs of such students. The board may provide alternative education to students in accordance with the guidelines established by the State Board of Education. Such guidelines shall include, but not be limited to, a description of the purpose and expectation of alternative education, criteria for student eligibility, and criteria for how and when a student may enter or exit alternative education. In providing alternative education to students, the board may use space in an existing school or establish a new school. Such programs must comply with the state laws pertaining to the number and length of school days in an academic year and shall be subject to all other federal and state laws governing public schools. The board may form a cooperative arrangement with other boards of education to provide alternative education pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 10-158A. Such an arrangement may include the establishment of a committee to supervise the program with committee membership determined by cooperating boards. Such committee shall have the power, in accordance with the terms of the agreement, to 1. Apply for, receive directly, and expend on behalf of the school district which have designated the committee to an agent for such purpose, or any state or federal grants which may be allocated to school districts for specific programs, the supervision of which has been delegated to such committee, provided such grants are payable before implementation of any such program, or are able to reimburse the committee for transportation provided to a school operated by a cooperative arrangement. Number 2, receive and disperse funds appropriate to the use of such committee by the cooperating school districts, the state or the United States, or given to the community by individuals or private corporations. Number 3, hold title to real or personal property in trust, or as otherwise agreed to by the parties for the appointing boards. Number 4, employ personnel. Number 5, enter into contracts. Number 6, otherwise provide the specified programs, services, and activities. Teachers employed by any such committee shall be subject to the provisions of the general statutes applicable to teachers employed by the Board of Education of any town or regional school district. A list of alternative programs will be approved by the board annually. The superintendent may provide for the involvement of staff, parents, and community in recommending alternative education programs for board approval. There shall be an annual evaluation of alternative education programs. The board, as required, will post on its website information about any alternative education offered, including purpose, location, contact information, staff directory, and enrollment criteria. In addition, the board recognizes its responsibility to give all children in the district who receive alternative education as nearly equal advantages as may be practicable compared to other children in the district. In addition, the board shall annually submit to the Commissioner of Education a strategic school profile report for each alternative school or program under its jurisdiction. Alternative education programs implemented by the district are to maintain learning options that are flexible with regard to environment, structure, and pedagogy. Such programs include, but are not limited to, a separate school, tutorial instruction, small group instruction, large group instruction, counseling and guidance, computer-assisted instruction, cooperative work experience, supervised community service activities, and supervised independent study. Students, upon parent request, may be placed in an alternative education program within available financial resources if the district determines that the placement serves the student's educational needs and interests and assists the student in achieving district and state academic content standards. It shall be the responsibility of the superintendent of schools to identify alternative program opportunities to be made available to students at risk, to recommend such alternative programs to the board for approval, and to familiarize students and parents, guardians, with the availability of such alternative programs. The superintendent shall, through cooperative efforts with other districts, schools, agencies, and organizations, periodically recommend additional or modified alternative educational programs to the board. And then we have references to policies and Connecticut general statutes. And that concludes the first reading of the alternative education programs policy.
All right. Any questions, any thoughts, any feedback?
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Go for it.
Yeah, it'll be brief. Dr. Silver, I get broadly what you're speaking about here. Feels like as a board member, I think we need that's generally more education about what this is meaning and trying to say, and what our new responsibilities will that's all. I know we do some of this around special needs, and maybe that's in this, but there may be more than just that. So I think we need some just general education about that. Other than that, it's the first reading, and like I said, I think I'd rather get a little bit more education before, detailing how it should be and what's the perfect words and everything.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. What I can do is invite Suzanne Palmieri, Mrs. Palmieri, to our meeting to give more information at our when we bring this back to committee the next time we review this policy.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Dr. Silva, thank you for that feedback.
Any other questions? Okay. Well, Dr. Silver, thank you so much for this. Again, this is just for first reading. And again, my apologies for cutting this meeting 30 minutes short, as it is Monday and have a lot of things I need to do to get ready for a session this week. But I appreciate each and everyone being on. Dr. Silver, I appreciate your patience and your diligence. Lori, thank you for being on. I know that this is not the most favorite thing to do on a Monday morning, but thank you. Jahira, thank you. Thank you, Tyrone. And thank you, Christina. When you do get the policy around the uniforms, please send it out so we can at least put eyes on it before it's for, before we have our first reading at our board meeting. That would be helpful.
Absolutely.
All right.
Have a good one, guys.
All right. You all have a good day.